It is an ambitious plan to revamp our city's waterfront, and we're now learning more details about Sidewalk Labs and their plans, which include a proposal to add an LRT to the waterfront. For a portion, though, what would happen is for a portion of the city's property taxes there. Joining me with more on what we are learning this morning is Sidewalk Labs CEO Doctoroff. Dan, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
No controversy with this one at all.
You know, look, it's big and it's complicated and it's new, and we're trying to solve problems that people have been trying to solve for a long time, and so you got to try some new approaches.
Now, your project was originally 12 acres. That's what the start was. Well, but now you're looking at you want 350 acres?
No,
Explain it a little bit.
I think that's a complete misnomer. I mean, the first phase of this is 12 acres, and you know, we've always said that scale is actually important to achieve the kinds of things that we're trying to achieve. We're, you know, trying to really address issues of affordability and how people get around and how a group of people, you know, can actually live in an inclusive place. And sometimes scale is required. But what we're saying is we actually only want to develop a small portion of that, the original 12 acres plus maybe a little bit more. And what we want to do is help to actually provide the infrastructure for the rest of it to actually be developed. And so what we really want to do is act as a catalyst. And in terms of, you know, property tax and stuff, that would just get paid back for the infrastructure we actually can provide that we don't think anybody else is going to provide, like the LRT. I mean, people have been talking about extending the LRT over there for a long time. Problem is, there's nobody who lives there, and therefore there's no political constituency for it.
But it's difficult. People get nervous when corporations and companies want to get involved with infrastructure and running it. People bring up the 407 in this area. How do you guarantee that the city will get their money's worth out of this?
Well, I think, first of all, the one thing that everyone should understand is what has appeared in the papers this morning is just a concept. And so everything that we are talking about is going to be completely subject to the political process. So, you know, the city council will have to approve in different parts, all three levels of government. So, you know, we want this to be a very open and transparent process and are excited to engage in a real give and take of ideas, because all we want to do is create something great over there that really does address some of these issues.
But there has to be more for it for you than just creating something great. I mean, what are you winning with?
We have to earn a reasonable return, but at the end of the day, I can tell you, look, I'm not a technology guy. I've only been affiliated with Alphabet for a couple of years. You know, my claim to fame is, you know, I helped to rebuild New York after 9/11. I believe that there's a set of technologies that can really help us address these issues of affordability. And that's why, by the way, we've proposed on this site to have 40% of the units be below market or affordable. It's why we believe that there's a new approach to actually getting people around that includes the extension of mass transit. We do want to create a great place. We just have to earn an adequate return. And I know sometimes that's really hard for people to believe, but hopefully as they get to know us better, they'll believe it more and more.
And you might find a lot of people on your side, because this has been talked about, the redevelopment, for decades now of the Portlands. What kind of time frame, if this moved ahead, what would you be looking at for your time frame for this?
Well, we're still on track to produce the plan sort of in the spring, and we're working furiously to get that together. Our hope is that a critical mass of approvals could be gained, you know, over the course of this year, and, you know, good case, we'd be able to start construction on Quayside, that 12-acre site, next year. As I said, we don't want to develop the Portlands. What we want to do is be a catalyst to actually having it get developed in a way that we've heard over the course of the last year Torontonians want. They want affordable housing. They want great access and mass transit and new ways of getting around. They want to live in an inclusive community. They want opportunity. We believe that there is a way to do that if we all work together and are creative in the approach.
How do you convince people? I mean, people are already nervous about Quayside. How do you convince them that with this larger involvement that it would be good for the city?
Well, we have to go through a very transparent public process, and that's absolutely critical. People have to believe that they've had input. I mean, it's been over a year since we actually announced the original agreement with Waterfront Toronto and the 3 levels of government. We've literally met in person over the course of that year with nearly 20,000 people. We have an office, which I encourage everybody to come down and see at 307 Lakeshore. It's sort of an office and showroom and workspace. We've had nearly 10,000 people come. We've collected literally thousands and thousands of comments, and our plans change based on sort of what we've heard. This has to be something that Torontonians want, and if it isn't completely transparent and doesn't go through kind of the political process, people won't believe it, and we know that.
Do you have a time frame for when you might pull the plug if things aren't working?
And we haven't even thought about it at all. You know, look, I should point out it's kind of ironic that this occurs, you know, on the day, you know, after Amazon pulled out of New York. We've been here for a year. We've been taking our lumps. We actually appreciate it. We love that give and take. That our plans keep getting better and smarter. We learn more. We're pretty humble about what we don't know. And we want to do it here. We think this is truly one of the great cities in the world. We also think this is a city that's really struggling with sort of the growing gap between the values of inclusivity and the opportunity as people get pushed further and further away from centers of opportunity because, you know, of the affordability and mobility issues. So we think people actually do want to do something here. And, you know, as you pointed out, look, people have been talking about this land for a long time. It's been 107 years since they first started to fill it in, and it has frustrated planners and builders for a long time. And now we have a set of opportunities to really take a new approach, and we'd love to work with people to make it happen, but we understand it has to be something people here are excited about.
Okay. Dan, thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate it. That's Sidewalk Labs CEO Dan Doctoroff talking about their newest proposal when it comes to the Portlands down in the lake. Let's head over now to Devo, who is at the GTA Home Show. Devo.